What happens when a heart that served God sincerely gets broken, not by sin, but by misunderstanding? When your pure intentions are mistaken for evil, and the people who once called you sister now treat you like a stranger. This is the story of Sister Sophia, a devoted deeper life sister from Delta State. Born into holiness, raised in purity, and trained to fear God from her youth. Her life was a portrait of obedience, quiet, disciplined, and consecrated. But one night, one decision made out of compassion would change everything. And from that moment, Sophia would learn that sometimes the deepest wounds are not inflicted by the world, but by the church you love. Today, we ask a painful question. Can the church hurt its own by judging the appearance, instead of understanding the intention? The making of a holy sister. Sophia grew up in a small deeper life family in Delta State. Her childhood was shaped by early morning devotions, long memory verses, and the familiar voice of Pastor Kamui echoing from the family's radio every Sunday morning. Her parents were strict but loving. Her mother would always remind her, "Sophia, don't just be a church girl, be a child of God in truth." And she was. In secondary school, Sophia was known for standing alone when others compromised. While her classmates experimented with fashion, parties, and relationships, she was that one student who carried her Bible and her conviction with pride. She was mocked often, called Deeper Life Sister, Holier Than Thou, and Sister Preacher. But she smiled through it. She would always say, "I'd rather lose friends than lose my testimony." Years passed, and Sophia gained admission into Delta State University. On her first Sunday on campus, she found her way to the Deeper Life Campus Fellowship, the same holiness atmosphere, the same hymns, the same spirit she had known since childhood. She joined the choir, then later, the follow-up department, visiting new converts and encouraging them to remain steadfast. Her zeal was contagious, her smile, disarming. Everyone knew her as Sister Sophia, the caring one. When people were sick, she would bring them food. When someone was discouraged, she would pray with them. Her entire life could be summed up in one quiet prayer she wrote in her journal. "Lord, keep me pure and useful till the end." Little did she know, that prayer would be tested, in a way she never imagined. The night of compassion. It was a calm evening on campus. The moonlight filtered through her window as Sophia read for her exams. The streets were quiet, except for the distant noise of cult clashes that had shaken the campus in recent weeks. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Brother Nathan, a member of the same Deeper Life Fellowship. He wrote weakly, "Sis Sophia, please. I need help. I'm very sick. I can't move." Without thinking twice, she grabbed her small purse and hurried out. She knew Nathan lived just a few houses away. When she got there, she found him sweating profusely, his body shaking. His malaria had worsened. She prayed with him, then rushed to a nearby pharmacy to buy some drugs with her own money. By the time she returned, it was already past 11 p.m. Nathan took the drugs but still looked frightened. His voice was trembling. "Sis Sophia, please, don't go yet. I'm scared to be alone tonight." Sophia froze. She knew what the church teaching said, avoid every appearance of evil. She hesitated. She replied softly, "Brother, I can't stay here, it's not proper." But she also knew, the campus was dangerous that night. Curfew had been announced. No movement after 10 p.m. because of cult fights. The streets were not safe. She tried calling another brother from fellowship, but his line didn't go through. Others were far away. She whispered, "Lord, what do I do?" And in that quiet struggle between obedience and compassion, she made a choice, to stay awake and pray quietly beside him until dawn. She sat by his bedside, reading Psalms, occasionally checking if he was still breathing normally. Every tick of the clock echoed in her heart. She didn't close her eyes. But around 3 a.m., her body gave up. Her eyes shut for a moment. When she woke up, sunlight had pierced through the curtain. Nathan was sleeping peacefully. She smiled faintly, "Thank you, Lord, he's fine." But that peace would soon turn into pain. Because by 8 a.m., there was a knock on the door. It was two fellowship sisters who had come to carry her to class. The moment they saw her stepping out of Nathan's room, her Bible still in hand, her eyes heavy with sleep, their faces changed. One of them whispered, "Jesus Christ, what is she doing here?" The other gasped, "All night." Sophia tried to explain. "Please, it's not what you think. He was sick. There was curfew." But their eyes said it all. They didn't believe her. And by evening, Everyone in fellowship had heard the news. Sister Sophia slept in a brother's room. The judgment without listening. It spread like wildfire, whispers in corners, long stares in fellowship, conversations that stopped when she entered. The next day, she received a message from the fellowship coordinator. "You are to appear before the leaders tonight." She arrived quietly, her eyes red from crying, clutching her Bible to her chest. The coordinator's voice was stern. "Sister Sophia, we heard that you spent the night in a brother's house. Is it true?" Her lips trembled. "Yes, but please, it's not what you think. He was sick. I only stayed because of curfew. I called others to come, but no one could make it. I didn't do anything wrong." The room fell silent. Then one elder replied coldly, "The Bible says, abstain from all appearance of evil. Even if you didn't sin, you have brought reproach to the name of Christ." Tears filled her eyes. She knelt down. "Sir, I understand, but I was only trying to save him. Should I have let him die?" No one answered. The decision was already made. The following Sunday, her name was called before the congregation. Sister Sophia has been disciplined for conduct unbecoming of a worker. She stood silently, her heart breaking in front of the people she once led in prayer. Whispers filled the air. Some looked away. Others stared in pity. That day, she went home and wept for hours. Not because she lost her position, but because her truth didn't matter. The same people who once said she was a true example of holiness now avoided her. The same pastor who once praised her dedication now wouldn't look her in the eye. She cried out to God that night, "Lord, you know my heart. I didn't sin against you. Why does it feel like I'm being punished for doing good?" Her act of mercy had turned into her moment of humiliation. And from that day, something inside her changed. She still loved God, but she could no longer stand under the same roof where she was condemned without understanding. The pain after the pulpit. Days turned into weeks. And no one came to check on her. The same fellowship that once called her our dedicated sister had fallen silent. No text, no visit, no prayer of encouragement. Only whispers. Nathan, the brother she had helped, was now healed. He tried to speak up for her. "Brethren, please, she did nothing wrong. I was sick. She only stayed because I begged her." But the damage was done. The story had spread beyond correction. To some, she was no longer Sister Sophia the faithful worker, she was that sister who slept in a brother's room. In class, she felt the stares. At the fellowship gate, she overheard hushed conversations cut short as she passed. In her hostel, girls she once prayed with now avoided eye contact. Her spirit began to crumble under the weight of silent judgment. Worship no longer felt like freedom, it felt like standing under a spotlight of suspicion. Fellowship no longer sounded like hymns, it sounded like noise pressing against her chest. She stopped attending, at first for a week, then 2. Not because she stopped loving God, but because the people she trusted had wounded her soul deeper than she could admit. At night, she would kneel by her bed and whisper, "Lord, you know I meant well. Why does obedience to compassion feel like a crime?" Her Bible stayed open, but tears blurred the pages. She replayed that night again and again, every decision, every word, every hesitation. Could she have done something differently? Maybe. But her heart was clean. Sometimes, the deepest scars don't come from sinners, but from those who preach healing. And the saddest part, you start to wonder if you even belong among the healed anymore. The heart that left but still believes. Time passed. Sophia graduated. The campus years ended, but the memory didn't fade. She left Delta State University with her faith intact, but her fellowship heart bruised. She still loved holiness, still dressed modestly, still prayed daily. But she could no longer sit under the same banner that had judged her without hearing her cry. She began to worship quietly in a small Christian gathering near home. No titles, no microphones, no workers' tags. Just worship and peace. When asked about her past, she would smile faintly and say, "I didn't leave Jesus, I left the place that judged me without listening." Those words carried both pain and power. Nathan kept in touch sometimes, always apologizing. "Sister, I'm sorry you went through that because of me." She would reply gently, "Don't be sorry. God saw everything. I just pray the church learns to listen before it condemns." Sophia never became bitter. Instead, she prayed. Every night, she whispered, "Lord, Bring compassion back to your house. Let love walk hand in hand with holiness. Let mercy balance our discipline. She never changed her conviction. She still believed in modesty, in purity, in obedience. But she also believed in something deeper, that truth without love becomes a weapon. And discipline without understanding becomes injustice. To her, walking away wasn't rebellion, it was healing. It was the quiet declaration of a wounded daughter saying, "I still love my father, but I can't stay in the room where I was misunderstood." Her faith survived the storm. And that, perhaps, was her greatest testimony. The lesson behind the pain. Sister Sophia's story is not about rebellion. It's about a system that sometimes forgets the heart behind the rule. Holiness is sacred. But holiness without empathy becomes harshness. Discipline is biblical. But discipline without listening becomes injustice. How many Sophias have we broken in the name of protecting the church's image? How many sincere hearts have we silenced because their good looked suspicious? Maybe Sophia's story is a call, not to abandon discipline, but to season it with understanding, to balance it with grace, to make room for mercy inside holiness. In the end, she may have left the church building, but she never left Christ. Because faith isn't proven by staying where you were hurt, but by still loving the God who watched you through the pain. And maybe, just maybe, that's where true faith begins. Now, dear viewer, after hearing everything, the night of compassion, the misunderstanding, and the judgment, do you think the pastor's discipline on Sister Sophia was right, even after hearing her and Brother Nathan's explanation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, sometimes, before we correct others, Heaven asks us to understand them first.